U.S. warships at Scarborough Shoal for freedom of navigation operations. The State Department on Wednesday acknowledged the deployment of 2 American warships to a Philippine-claimed shoal off the South China Sea, where 2 Chinese government vessels collided 2 days ago while attempting to drive away Philippine vessels in disputed waters. Manila maintains that a United Nations convention allows foreign vessels to pass through the shoal, known internationally as Scarborough Shoal but called Bajo de Masinloc or Panatag in the Philippines, even though it is an integral and long-standing part of Philippine territory. The Department of Foreign Affairs is aware of the Freedom of Navigation operations, FONOPs, conducted by U.S. warships in the waters around Bajo de Masinloc, it said, referring to the United States term for freedom of navigation operations in the area, which is also claimed by China. It should be emphasized that UNCLOS provides for certain transit rights and freedoms, such as innocent passage, freedom of navigation, and archipelagic sea lanes passage, in the archipelagic waters, territorial sea, and exclusive economic zone of the Philippines, the Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs said in a statement. Notification is not required by the Philippines for foreign vessels to exercise these freedoms in Philippine maritime zones, in accordance with international law, particularly the 1982 UNCLOS. UNCLOS stands for the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, considered a global constitution for the seas, signed by 162 countries, including the Philippines and China. On August 13, the USS Higgins and USS Cincinnati were shadowed by Chinese naval vessels while patrolling 30 nautical miles from the shoal, Philippine Coast Guard Commodore J. Tariella said at a press conference. The U.S. operation demonstrates Washington's commitment to ensuring freedom of navigation and overflight in the South China Sea and aims to challenge unilateral attempts by any country to block and control the waterway, through which a significant portion of global trade passes. In 2012, former President Benigno Aquino III signed an administrative order renaming the waters in the South China Sea closer to the Philippines' west coast as the West Philippine Sea. Several countries, led by the U.S., Japan, Australia, and New Zealand, condemned China's latest harassment of Filipinos in the shoal on Monday after China fired powerful water cannons and sailed dangerously close to a Philippine Coast Guard vessel, calling the action reckless, alarming, and a violation of international law. A video recorded by the Philippine Coast Guard shows a Chinese naval destroyer and a Chinese Coast Guard vessel accidentally colliding on Monday while attempting to drive the smaller Philippine vessel BRP Sulwan away from the shoal. Both Chinese vessels sustained damage, particularly the Coast Guard vessel, with its boat completely destroyed. Media reports suggest some Chinese Coast Guard personnel may have been seriously injured by the impact of the collision, but Beijing has remained silent about the incident. China's increasingly aggressive actions in the waters have sparked serious concern and condemnation from several countries after Chinese Coast Guard vessels repeatedly fired water cannons, used military-grade lasers, and obstructed Philippine government vessels from conducting resupply missions from a shoal, locally called Ayungin or Second Thomas Shoal, which Beijing also claims as its own. Incidents of collisions between Chinese and Philippine vessels have increased and several injuries on the Philippine side have also been reported.